So I'm just gonna talk over this because that's easiest. We're going to use one of these references, this time the top one, because it's easy. And I mean, if you are afraid to use references, don't be, because everyone does. Even the professionals, otherwise they wouldn't look like that. Okay, like don't be afraid. Anyway, so the front of the horse, like the chest area, is kind of made up of triangles. The middle of the chest also has kind of like a seam to it that goes up the neck. And then think further in triangles. So when you get to the legs, you start with a triangle because that's how the muscle begins. And then there's on the outside of the front legs, there's kind of like a bulge of the muscle, so it's an S. And on the inside, it's more of a straight line, depending on which side your horse is facing. And then when we get to feathers, you can hide pretty much anything underneath those. So if you're worried about lower legs, just, I don't know, draw some feet and put some feathers on top and nobody will notice. Just, make them wide enough, I guess. And then moving on to the tummy. This horse in particular isn't really the thinnest horse. So, kind of a big sloping tummy. But still, like, every tummy slopes up. So you'll have kind of half of an elliptical circle, if you can call it that. And pay in mind to draft horses having a heart-shaped bottom and a top, so they're never completely flat. If they're flat, something's wrong with your draft. And then the butt itself is kind of like a weird potato, or that's how I draw them. And then you've got like a little bulge of muscle right underneath the butt potato. And that's where the joint comes under. That's how it attaches. And it's kind of like, it's a little ball of muscle. Again with the feathers and, draw a little feetsy and you're done. Moving on to the last leg, for difficult poses and legs that don't really go the way you want them to, watch your reference and look at the negative space, for example, like the space between the legs. What do you see? What are the distances? Is the distance bigger than, for example, the joint? If it is, draw it that way. If it isn't, don't. So really just don't always look at the figure you're drawing itself, but look at the things you're not drawing, like the space in between everything you're drawing, because that really helps. And again, feathers. This one has a lot of hair. Onto the neck and the head. In draft horses, these can get quite big, so you don't have to worry about it getting too big, basically, because in reality they are. You don't have to draw a little tiny triangle that you'd expect from a warm blood, because if you did, that would look weird. As for the head, I always draw like a little, two triangles. I forgot the name in English, together, so two triangles together, and a seam in the middle, which really helps to make sure where the center line is, especially to see where the eyes should be and where they shouldn't be. As for ears, it's kind of the same shape each time, even when they're turned away. Just, on the inside, it's a bit sloped. So basically you make the ears wider at the bottom and they slope up. As for the nose, I started like, I don't know, 3 times for this, 2 times, I can't count anymore. Because this, some draft horses have really tough faces to draw because they have such tiny noses, which is weird. Mostly you'll encounter this in gypsy vanners and, horses like that. Actual big draft breeds have really big snoots. So that's also hard to draw, but in a different way. Anyway, like in this perspective, the jawline isn't as curved as you'd expect it to be. And the nose isn't as big as you'd expect it to be either. So just look at your picture and see how the nose relates to, for example, the distance between the ears, or the distance between the front legs, or little tiny tricks like that. And then we're moving on to hair after this, because again, necks are hard. I'm just drawing in some muscle here because it really helps shape it a little, because these drafts, when they're a little bit fatter, you could say, the shoulder kind of evaporates into the neck. So make sure you don't accidentally make that a harsh edge. As for hair, you can literally just do anything you want. I make a lot of loops that go nowhere and just end back with the actual base of the hair. Now with drafts, they usually don't really have much curls in their hair itself, but they do have curls in their tails, which is again weird, but again, like, horses are weird, so who cares? Anyway, the tail is kind of the same thing. Draw a few curvy lines. I'm really shit at explaining this. And if you want a bit more of that flowiness going on, you could also draw a few wayward strands or anything of the sort. So, anyway, I'm just like putting in the final touches, but basically it's done. If you really need help with muscle or anything, I always say go back to your references, because really nobody works without references. Okay, with that I will leave you.